Alright, so I guess I am live. Cool thing of an upgrade, I got a SSD on my computer, so now I get really fast load times. So, been a while since I streamed. Trying to focus in more on Microsoft Flight Simulator. I kind of think that's the niche of where I could grow my channel more. I could definitely talk about interesting things while gaming on Fortnite or Overwatch, but that market seems like it's very saturated. And so in the news lately, it is the Chinese weather balloons. And this is where I think maybe I could be more interesting, or about the things that I talk about while maybe playing the game that are also about world events. So I guess today there's been a second Chinese weather balloon that had been supposedly shot down over Alaska. And I think it brings so much interesting thoughts to my head. A, do we even know that it's a Chinese weather balloon? How do we know it's from China? How do we not know it's from Russia? We only know, obviously. I got a call, so I'll just do mute. Yeah, so I had a call that I had to take. Hot water tank doesn't work right. So anyways, let's pick somewhere over Alaska to fly to. And obviously Anchorage is the biggest city. Well, I guess that's not obvious if you've never been there. This is Elemendorf Air Force Base. So we'll pick that. Might as well. I've been flying, I forget which one that is. F-18? There we go, F-18. And we'll do set departure and fly. Just make it simple. I've been playing this off and on, a little here and there. It's not like Fortnite or Overwatch where I play it almost every week. Flight Simulator I'll play, and then I take a break for a week or two or a month. And so I like that it's supposed to be exactly, that's supposed to be the snow and the cloud cover. Let's do that for you. I'm going to turn it down. Just to see it. Do it to about my talking volume. I don't know where I'm going to fly to. Let's just fly. Let's just wing it. I can fly east. The second balloon's supposed to be towards, I think was intercepted in the Aleutian chain. But we're just going to go with whatever. No pre-flight planning. Release the park. That's inside, outside. Release the parking brake. Full throttle. Go ahead and give ourselves an afterburner. I personally like the outside view. If you had a headset on, it would be probably more fun to do it inside, like a VR headset. I'm not a big fan of VR, to be honest with you. If somebody else wants to take the time to set it up and all that, that's fine. But I don't really want to take the time because I don't like having the headset on for long periods of time. I already know. is. Just having these headphones on gaming for long periods, you can definitely feel it. It's there. Obviously, they cost money and this is Anchoage area, which I'm just gonna pretty much cruise. You can tell by those call signs, those are not actual flights. Those are other people that are flying over Anchorage right now who are probably the same thing. Wow. This whole Chinese weather balloon thing is quite something. I was watching the Daily Show, and they had Chelsea Handler, and she pointed out, like, if China didn't want us to know, why did they paint them white? Because I think the balloon is blue. Like, or no, it was white. That's it. The balloon was white, but I think they could have better camouflaged it if it wasn't intentional. And that's the problem is when you have war on a global scale with something like Russia, not everything is always going to be accurate. Or what it is. Could be Chinese-Russian weather. Who knows? That's the world we live in. Who knows? I was watching a video about how much is required to just make an electric car. Not even the whole environmentalism of obviously gas rates, pollutants, but the amount of resources that is needed to make an electric car is so much. I've heard about the cobalt mines where tons of people are just mining with their hands, not even with machinery. Like, we have mining in this area where I live. They use tools for as much as they can for the labor always on. The miners for cobalt, which I guess is one of the main things that are needed for lithium batteries. So, cobalt, and there's something like I was watching a video on YouTube, a financial video about how 30 or 40 things, key, not ingredients, but the different things, chemicals, iron, pig iron, the different types of iron that are needed, just to make a car. And it is point being is it's way more complex to make a electric car than it is to make a fuel-based car, because the electric car has just so many more outsourcing parts. A big news story a couple of years ago with the semiconductors, and how Taiwan is the main supplier of semiconductors. And so that being very important about the semiconductors, because they're used in pretty much all of our electronic equipment. So Taiwan is obviously going to be a really important thing that's happening right now. Obviously, well, not obvious, who knows what news anybody has, but Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan, I think it was about a year ago. Obviously that upset China, and they did some sort of flyovers around that area. So Taiwan is super important because that's where the semiconductors are made. Semiconductors require a lot of fresh water, not salt water. And so you can turn salt water into fresh water, but the costs are not deionize it, but yeah, all the things that you got to do to get out the salt water, so it's not drinkable like fresh water. It's a lot, and it's not cost effective. So if it was cost effective, they'd be doing it in California to make fresh water. It's not cost effective. And so Taiwan is the main semiconductor manufacturer. they're very geopolitically important. I did see Top Gun. I'm not a big fan of Tom Cruise because of his cult. Like, I definitely believe in freedom of religion, but Tom Cruise weirds me out. Like, Top Gun is super cool. I don't go to the movie theater often, but it was on like the last string of movie theaters. We have a movie theater inside a casino. So around December, I went and saw it, and it was so good. It was so good. Tom Cruise is an actor. I'm not going to boycott an actor because I don't agree with their ideology or religion. What some people may call it cult. I definitely enjoyed Top Gun. I didn't remember the first one. I definitely had seen it as a child. I'm aware of all the music from it. I should circle around and watch that because it was super good, especially for someone like myself who's into flight simulator. But I was honestly just like, maybe I'll rent it one day. It wasn't a huge priority of movies to watch. I honestly would rather watch a documentary. A lot of the times I put more of my movie watching into documentaries than Hollywood movies. Unless it's something epic like that. What is Peele? Key and Peele. What's the... I like his horror movies. His suspense movies. Those were fun. They're well written. And some Get Out was so good. To me, he's like the new Eminem. How do you say his last name? Shyamalan. I have to see it right now. You know, where the horror suspense is so good. What's up? Who you got from? So, geographically, this is live right now. What Anchoage, Elemendorf area would look like. Overcast. You can change the weather on here, which is actually really fun. You could just now it's a sunny day, you know, or if you want to do something weird with the weather, you could be flying in Brazil and make it snow. You know, where is that famous statue? It's not Sao Paulo. I know a lot about it. From Rio de Janeiro. You can make it snow right then and there. Ignore anything. Make it snow in Texas. Which it snows in Texas. I'm trying to think of where it just would be really bizarre. Obviously, closer to the equator is going to be where it would be more weird for it to snow. I prefer this third-person perspective. I definitely think with having a headset on and being able to do that and look up and around, I don't know if it'd give me motion sickness because I do get motion sickness pretty easy. But I'd definitely be curious to try it out. I want to try it out. I don't want to take the time and money to buy a headset because it's really the only thing that I'd probably use it on. There is one game. It's a music game. It's called Beat Saber. It's like Guitar Hero where you have the things going down, and you have to chop with like swords. And I've seen this game for years. If I could somehow, without the cost of VR, just get the wands and make it work, and it was only like a couple $100, I would get it just because it'd be fun for me and the kids to play the Beat Saber game. But I don't want to invest the time and the money into a headset because VR honestly is not really that exciting to me. Having that headset on is not something that most people are going to want to do for more than a half hour at a time. I have plenty of video game stuff that I like. The only two games that I really play are Fortnite and Overwatch. I kind of bounce between the two of them. They're both pretty fun games. Overwatch can be frustrating because you have a team of 5 other people. They dropped it from 6 to 5, so it's 4 other people I got to work with. And you get kids on there. Why don't you switch? Why don't you switch? And this and that. There's just you have to possibly work as a team, or you can get upset at people. And I get upset sometimes, but I never cross any lines. I don't play bad names, stuff that you get in trouble for in school or work. But I'll get a little upset at people and tell them that they don't know what they're talking about. I've been gaming for so long. I have thousands of hours of gaming just since I really got into gaming 5 years ago. So I love video games, always have. Grew up on them. First computer, Apple II, then went to PC, and then I had Intellivision, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, 80s PC gaming, 90s PC gaming, did Wolfenstein, Doom on the computer, and did gaming in the 90s. And this was just like nothing serious. 20 hours a week, maybe 10 hours. I would game with my dad. I have just a lifetime of gaming experience. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, Ants, flight simulation games like Microsoft Flight Simulator, or there were Sierra Arts, or I'm trying to remember the publisher. Aces Over the Pacific was, I think, my favorite that I would play. And so I have decades of video games. And then I did Nintendo 64 with my buddies up in Alaska. We'd play Perfect Dark with 007, and they hated it. They hated it with me. Because you'd screen share, so you'd have the screen split up into 3 or 4, etc. And obviously you can screen peek. And I mean, I can't help it. I have good peripheral vision, and I've already had so much hours gaming on the computer. Prior to Nintendo 64 in like the late 90s, I did Quake online multiplayer, and I did some little bit of multiplayer games on the computer and whatnot. And so I already knew how to like strafe and circle, and I would just. My buddies hated playing Perfect Dark with me multiplayer because you could screen peek. And I'm like, well, I mean, we could put up like some sort of cardboard and sit close enough and whatnot. I'm like, I can't help it. I have peripheral vision. I can see what you're doing. It was funny. I don't think they found it funny. And I did well. I did well at Quake gaming. I'd get like 15-to-1 kill ratios on like arena and stuff. And Perfect Dark was a blast. Loved that. 007 was also a blast. And so I've been gaming multiplayer for decades. I turn off all the alarm systems. I don't want to hear stall. Like, I'm not trying to become a better pilot. I did recently put myself through pilot school for getting my UAV unmanned aerial vehicle, Part 107, FAA, pilot license. Guess I'll be technically a pilot once I go schedule and take the exam. Did it online school. I like the school. Shout out to what was it? There's two main ones. Pilot Institute is the one that I did. It's fine. I read that you can do much easier things, but I'm just the person that likes the way through. So I'm going to schedule my exam. I got a lot of work to do. I want to have a UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle, drone, and camera photography real estate business. The name, Quantum Elements. I've been Quantum Zero for some time as a video gamer. And I tossed around names around a lot. That is what I have committed to. I've already registered the URL. I've thought of some other names, but that might have worked. And I was working with the business department at our college here in Illinois. They made like quantum photography. Like, yes, it might be better to have photography or drone or aerial services in the name, but most larger companies that end up being successful, Sears Roebuck, what's that? Best Buy, what's that? You know, it's not Best Buy Electronic Services. You know, it's not Sears and Roebuck General Goods. And so, Quantum Elements is, it's curious, mysterious. I love quantum physics. I like reading books about it. And my gamer name, so the whole quantum thing. So my gamer name, which I've changed gamer names quite a bit I've really gotten into video gaming over the past 5 years since I got a PC gaming computer. And I've changed video game names a lot. And I could go through the changes probably as Agent Survivalist, Agent 337, the Survivalist Unknown, maybe. I have gone through quite a few. And I was Quantum Blue 337 because I like the 337. It spells Lee upside down. And then I finally have settled with Quantum Zero, which is a actual state in quantum physics. I really like quantum physics. I find it very fascinating. And so Quantum Zero is an actual theoretical, because quantum physics is theory, I believe, right? And Quantum Zero is if you're looking at the, what is it? The particles, the atoms. I mean, I've never gone to school for this stuff. I'm a high school grad, so I'm not a quantum scientist. But if you're staring at the particles with quantum zero theory, you can't actually see the change. You don't see the decay, I believe it is. And so Quantum Zero, I actually came up without knowing what that was. Is, like I said, I was Quantum Blue, Quantum 337, and I mean, I know what quantum physics are. I read a little bit about quantum physics, like bought an actual book where before I spent so much time on the internet, and I read through like half of it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so complicated. But I read through like half of it. What was it was the guy in the wheelchair. I can't remember his name. And so, yeah, I settled on for my gamer name. I've been Quantum Zero for like a year now. And yeah, so Quantum Zero is like if you're staring at particles, you don't actually see the decay. You have to look away, which is just amazing. A good metal song, Look Away by Sepultura. Just check that song out. That's a really awesome song. And so as I've like gotten into gaming, it's got my interest in quantum physics more, and I really committed to Quantum Zero as my gamer name. I have it on my bicycle, it's on my computers, and I just kind of keep learning more and more about quantum physics and what those things mean. And it's very fascinating. And so quantum elements, I mean, elements are everything that make up the world, you know. And so I just really liked it because obviously photography is taking the elements in through the camera and making a digital picture or a video for drone service. So it just really, it made sense, it rolls off the tongue type thing. Like I was saying earlier with like business naming, really successful businesses. I mean, yeah, I guess if you want to be like a landscaper, you should probably have landscaping in the title or the business name or the LLC, you know, but I didn't really want, like, I reached out to our business development team. They're like, Lee Martini Photography. I'm like, oh. They're like, this is through email. Your name has such a ring to it. I'm like, no. You know, if I'm going to take the time to open a LLC, I want it to roll. I want it to have meaning. And they're like quantum photography. Yeah, because my real thing is obviously like for keyword search purposes, it's probably better to have studio photography or some sort of business name in the title for keyword search, but I didn't really want photography or drone and when I was buying my camera, I asked them for advice. I'm like, should I put studio, you know, like in it? And they're like, no, a studio is like where somebody goes. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So like when I was buying my digital camera, I reached out to them and asked them for advice. And I, you know, because they're artistic, they're actually, I think the guy that helped me pick up my digital camera for real estate photography is my main direction I want to go. You know, they are more artistic, and so I bounced all the ideas and what I talked about with you and our business development team, and I told him quantum elements. He's like, no, that's good. I'm like, yeah, it is good, huh? Because he's like, you're not a studio. A studio is where somebody goes to take pictures, you know, like if I was doing like studio work. And so I just wanted to pick a business name once, you know. I could have been Quantum's Media Services. I don't know. Like I bounced that idea around my head for weeks, and I made the decision. Quantum Elements will be my photography drone related business. Like I said, I'm studying for my Part 107 is what it's called. You gotta take an FAA exam. I will be a licensed FAA UAV drone pilot. So in order to operate a drone commercially, you have to actually get an FAA license. So I mean, I can tell the ladies I'm a pilot. So it's cool. You know, they have a school. I like the school I did. It was very thorough. I saw that there were like much easier study options, but I don't really like taking tests. I'm not a really good tester. I hate it because I might overstudy or understudy. I've never enjoyed school. Like, I took the real estate tests and went through real estate school. That was fine. I went to an in-person school. I liked the in-person school here. This was a couple of years ago. And she was nice. I broke it into two pieces. There's the local or state license, and then there's the national license. And I studied solely for the the state one. And after going through the school, I'd study like a half hour a day before the test, 2 weeks before the test. And then I was like, well, if I pass the national, I passed the national. And I didn't. So I didn't mind taking the test twice. And I would rather study less than more. The cram, like, it's not fun. So 2 weeks before the test, I did that, and I just would study for a half an hour. And I passed the state one, and I didn't pass the national one. And then I studied for like a half hour, and I also knew what was on the test, and I didn't mind paying for the test twice. And so then I studied for the national and passed that. It was fine. I don't really enjoy school. I don't enjoy taking tests. And I don't enjoy perfectionisms. And, I can come up with all sorts of names for my URL of my business. I could have been quantum perfections. I mean, there were just so many different things that bounced through my head. I had idea after idea, but it was like really quantum elements, because elements are part of quantum theory. I really enjoy Stephen Hawking was the person where I read a state that I couldn't remember. Yeah, I mean, I tried to read a string theory book on quantum mechanics. What is it? The quantum theory, and this was like when I was in my 20s. And so much of it, I'm like, what are we talking about here? And so I've always loved science and all those types of things, but I've never loved school. I don't enjoy taking tests. I don't get test anxiety. Like, I don't get nervous before the test. But I don't want to study more than I need to study. I want to study for the bare minimum. I honestly would rather just go to a class like the real estate school that I went to, and she was nice. I liked her. She was nice. We had one guy that kept like talking up a storm, just making disruptions. He just would like over question her. It was really annoying. And so she was nice. I would recommend her. She was very nice. I just thought that I would enjoy going to school more doing that than online. However, to get my UAV drone part 107 is what you need. I was like, I'll just do it. And I like the school. Shout out to pilotinstitute.com. I'd recommend it. I like the school. He's nice. He's clear. I understood what he was saying. There's one other that looks more like Top Gun like, and so I don't know what that one would be like, and so I can't give an honest opinion on it. It's been interesting the few months that I've been studying for it. Now I need to schedule my exam, and I need to do LLC and get insurance for an LLC, and the Quantum Elements LLC. I kind of have a logo in mind, and so let's see. I under quantum elements, maybe drone, video, like a slash video, and then I don't know, just drone, video slash photography. Like 3 keywords for my logo, and maybe a drone, because I'm really, I could be a general photographer. I could be primarily a real estate photographer. I'm not real comfortable with doing wedding photography unless it's a small ticket, to be honest. So I do not want somebody upset at me because they didn't like my work. And I mean, I bought a camera with 2 memory card slots, so that way there should never be electronic film. But I just think that that's such an important thing. A human, I've never been married, but 2 people getting married, and I could have been called quantum perfectionist because I'm a perfectionist. I mean, there would just be never anything that I would do to not strive for perfection. But I would never want to upset somebody. And I'd be like, I'm sorry, the memory card failed. Here's your money back. I'm completely sorry, type thing. If it's a smaller ticket wedding, not something so high value, I'd do it, and I can do it, and it would be fine. But my main direction is going to be drones, because I can fly them. I have had a DJI Mavic for a while, and I can fly anything. I'm very ambidextrous, I play drums, I can play a little bit of piano. I can play a little bit of guitar. I definitely play bass guitar. I've been doing that a lot lately. And so I'm ambidextrous. I can juggle. And so operating a drum is easy. It's really easy. And so I have a DJI Mavic Pro, is it? When I was still working at Verizon. And it's cool, but I don't fly it too much here. I live in an area where I don't need to put in FAA requests, because if you're flying your drone, you're supposed to put in FAA requests. Even if it's, I'm even confused now, because now I just think of myself as a commercial pilot. It depends on the categories, and that's where maybe I got to study some more, because I haven't been doing the studying as much because I have so much going on. And I'm not thinking as a recreational pilot. I'm only now thinking as a commercial pilot. And so, yeah, with recreational, if you're in a area where it's Class B, Class C, Class A, you still have to notify the FAA about your flight and get prior auth. And so if you're less than, 49 grams, I believe it is, and that's just like a small personal hobby drone, you don't have to do those types of requests. And so a lot of people don't know that if you live in commercial airspace, you can't just go buy a Mavic and start busting it around town. You have to get prior auth. And I live in an area where, what is my class airspace? I don't know. I haven't looked it up since I've been doing the school. But I live in an area where I don't have to get FAA prior auth. And so I can just pop my drone up. Well, I do live in an HOA CIC. And so I try to be respectful to my neighbors, because everybody gets weirded out about drones flying around. And I bought a small drone for me and my kids to work, but I don't see things little, and it was a hobby drone, and I'm sure it would have been fine, but it had like hobby batteries, and I couldn't get the connector to pull apart, and the battery came out, and I'm trying to get the battery wire back in, and like I didn't want to buy a soldering gun just for this stupid thing, this micro drone. And so I definitely think that like I wouldn't mind buying another indoor micro drone, because I wanted to be able to fly it in and out of the house and out of the house and share it with my kids. It had a headset, and it seemed like it would operate fine, but it was more complex than what I wanted. And I did get it to fly, but the main issue at hand is it has the hobby RC connectors. It's like a little white tip, and it slides in, and my fat fingers, because I got really strong hands from all my drums and stuff, I ripped the wire out on the battery when I was trying to get it to come apart when I was playing with it on Christmas Day. I did get it to fly, and I would still like a micro drone because they're fun to fly around the house. I don't have to worry about it really hurting my dog, and I was going to fly it in and out of the house. They're less intrusive to my neighbors. But when I fly the DJI Mavic Pro, it is loud, and I am sure other people in my area were quite aware that I was flying it. And, I try to be respectful to my neighbors. I'm not like flying it just down the street, like, I don't want to break it either, because right now that's the drone that I'm going to be using for my photography business. I have a Nikon Z5, I think it is. I've done photography like 20 years ago with no, that wasn't that long. It was when I broke my ankle as a truck driver, so that maybe 15 years ago. I had a broken ankle. I had a gigantic crate fall off a truck because of another coworker that didn't help with the lift gate, and I saw it come, and I'm like, oh my god, this cart on wheels for a convention is going to come down and fall on me. And I was fortunate enough to get out of the way, and I only got a broken ankle at that time, and so I either did crutches or I had a wheelchair. And so I bought a digital camera, and it was a DSLR, and this was like maybe, let's see, my kids, I don't want to say when my kids are born for their privacy, 2006. It was a Canon EOS something Rebel, and it was cool. I got into photography again, for a little bit. It's not like the passion of my life. Like the passions of my life are drums, biking, video games, and then, you know, we can keep going down some things, my hobbies and passions. And photography's cool. I like it and I enjoy it, and I like flying drones. And it's fun. And so yeah, I got a digital camera around Christmas time. I bought it locally here. I could have bought it at Best Buy. I might have been able to save $100 or so, but I have a point of contact if I need help with photography. We're really at such an interesting time now with YouTube and online learning. Like, what can't you teach yourself online? Like, that you don't need to go to college for. And so, I mean, I reached out to the UNR Business Development Program, and they made suggestions on, they're like, Lee Martini photography. It just rolls off the tongue. I'm like, yeah, but I also wanted that anonymity, or to remain anonymous. Why am I getting an LLC and putting my name on it? Like, so it's like, I don't know how much more I should even work with the UNR department. There's another media company here in Reno where maybe I should just pay them for website development, because I still have to do website development. I have to get my LLC. I don't know what type of insurance I need. I mean, probably not very much with a drone. There's not a lot of damage that I would do with a drone. I mean, I guess other people could. You could cause a car accident or something. I don't know. But, you know, so I'll probably just go through who I've had insurance for a long time. I was just talking to them and about my car. So, yeah, I guess, you know, it's just so much on my plate to open up that, you know, all the different things to open up a small business, regardless of if you went to school for small business or what type of educational, because I'm really just a high school grad. I tried going to school a couple times up in Alaska, but I was going through a lot before I moved down here, and it just didn't work out for me. Anyway, it just doesn't matter. Opening up a small business is a lot of work in time, and so I don't know how much I should lean into UNR. I've kind of like, there's a media company where they're gonna be much bigger. They have a whole team of photographers, and they do commercial advertising, and I don't want to waste a lot of money on, this is a cool area. So this is on your way to go to like Homer and Seward and stuff. I remember this. I haven't been up in Alaska for 20 years since I left, but it's like, how much should I pay somebody, or how much should I learn? You know, I don't want to waste money on business development, and it requires time, and I've really got so much going on right now, you know, and I'm trying to do that. So I think I should maybe, you know, because maybe this is a good time for planning. I know there's this media company, they do drones and stuff, and there's not a lot of people that are in my area that do drones, so I will be very niche, you know. There's quite a few photographers, I'm sure, that have their actual small business license and whatnot, but my niche is going to be drones, aerial and commercial. And so there's a advertising business, and I've looked them up, and I've been looking at their website. I forget what they are, but I'm thinking I should reach out to them for a consultation and see how much they might charge me to just get me up and running quicker. I won't be their competition, because they've got like a team of photographers and whatnot. So I mean, the only competition that I am is, you know, for drones. Not a lot of people that are drone licensed in this area, at least. I mean, I can't say, you know, right over the border is like Tahoe for Reno, so I can't say what I've got for competition. And I'm not even doing a state license for that area, which I would probably need to do, and then that means obviously then I got to get California insurance and a California business license. It's all just, I'm really got so much going on. Some people just want to buy a business, which you can do. Obviously, you can buy a restaurant, from somebody. I remember there's this Hispanic or Latino restaurant that was closing that had been open for 30 years. I saw that on the news. It was for sale. You can buy a business, or you can develop a business, or you can pay somebody to develop your business. I don't know what is the best option for me, but it doesn't matter if you research it yourself, or pay somebody to research, or have UNR help you with research. It still obviously requires time. I have discovered over the past couple years, I went to a real estate training thing at one of our casinos at a convention center. I think that my main takeaway from that, and I don't even want to mention it because I don't want anybody else to use it. I didn't really like this training company that they sourced with and that they were working with. It was like 4 or 5 days. And I didn't really ever think I was a perfectionist. I don't know what didn't click in my head that I'm not a perfectionist, but they had us take like a personality test. And, there was maybe like 10 or 15 people in the perfection group. And I don't remember what the other 3 subcategories were. And I really was like, oh wow, okay, yeah, I am a perfectionist type thing, which is a pain in the butt. I don't feel like I have OCD tendencies, but being a perfectionist is annoying. I don't like taking tests because I don't get test takers exam anxiety. I just don't like it. I want to do as good as I possibly can, and I want to study for the least amount of time possible. Those are my parameters for taking tests. I don't want to study. I don't want to take the test. And let's just get it over with, Who likes taking tests? And so, anyways, where am I? Over this way, if I kept going, would be Portage Glacier, I think it is. And I don't know if they've patched that through. Over that way would be like Seward and Homer, if I am where I think I am, which I haven't been there in over 20 years, so I'm just really going off my own photographic memory. Because I remember a road, and we would drive, and I'm like, why can't we go across that way? And I think it was just trains, and it looks like a road now, not just railroad. And so I wonder if you can get to Anchorage and Seward quicker, because I remember going around on the left-hand side and being like, man, sure would be closer to if we didn't have to drive all the way around this, and this road would be super dangerous. And, you'd have people passing each other, and I'm pretty sure if I haven't already lost myself, because I wasn't paying attention to where I am. Let's pull up the map. I think so. I think that's where I am. And so you'd have to go around and around to get to Homer and Seward from Anchorage. It was like, Seward was, if I remember right, like a 3.5 hour drive, and Homer was like, I remember I went to Homer, I think that was like a 5 or 6 hour drive, and it was okay driving in the car with my dad, and I trusted my dad's driving and stuff, but it was very dangerous. Everybody on this like 2-lane road, and people passing each other, because you get like all the people with recreational vehicles, if this is the road that I think it is, would be going around and around, and it was 2 lanes, and you'd see really cool things, like you could see the mountain goats. I think I remember seeing, like, I don't remember what type of animals they were, horned sheep, I don't know, something up on the hills there, you could see them. And then if you look to the right, you can see whale activity. And yeah, so what's good about flying in first person perspective is this way is way more noisy. Like way more of the engine sounds and stuff. it's more photographic and fun, I suppose, but obviously that's more realistic. Like you can really start to settle your eyes in to feeling like you're actually in a airplane or jet like I'm flying now. And so the road was really dangerous. So yeah, the Seward is like maybe 3 hours. So I think this would be back towards Anchorage because I can see the map there. You can see the map. Also see all that activity. So if we turn around and go back this way, we'll head back to Anchorage. And so now I wonder, I haven't even looked it up, I wonder how quickly you can get from Anchorage to Seward now if that's a road. Because Seward's super cool. I really like Seward. It's a fishing town, and they had the race, Mount Marathon. Really cool race. I remember I had like a spotting scope and I went camping, and you could see the people running up and down, and it's super dangerous. You know, it's just who can get up and down it quickest and not die and fall to their death. I don't know if people died on Mount Marathon or not, but it's a very dangerous up and down thing in Seward, and I can remember being there for it with my dad, and this is definitely a cool memory. And Homer is also a pretty cool thing. I've only been to Homer maybe once or twice, I think, because it's a longer drive. What people don't realize with Alaska is if you toss it on the lower 48, how much it takes up. You know, obviously the big question is like, which is bigger, Alaska or Texas? And people in the lower 48 might answer Texas. And if you plop Alaska on the map, it's just so geographically big. And so Homer, I think back in the day in the 90s, was like a 6-hour drive, a 7-hour drive. It was a long drive. I think I only went there camping with my dad once or twice. And it's cool. And I got to see things in Homer. Like my dad knew how do you say her last name? Kirshner? Jules family, I guess. And my dad did stuff in Homer, and he showed me Homer stuff. And I can remember camping there, and like there's so many eagles, at least there was back then. It's like there was as many eagles as seagulls. And I'm not a marine biologist or a biologist, but if I don't recall, I think an eagle is more of a scavenger bird than a hunting bird. A lot of people don't know that about eagles being the national bird. And so, yeah, I just remembered there just being as many eagles as there were seagulls, if not more eagles. As if you want to see eagles, go to Homer, or at least back in the 90s. And Homer was super cool. They have the spit, and I know my dad lived out there and had a cabin and stuff. Like, I have so many stories because my dad would talk to me when we go camping, and sometimes it would just be quiet. And and so, yeah, I mean, I could remember music being like certain. My dad liked music, but not like a ton. He was a reader. He read so much. And Dust in the Wind, Kansas. What a song! What an impactful song. And from my childhood, I loved that song. And so, yeah, Dust in the Wind, what an awesome song. I was not brought up religious. I couldn't help but obviously through school get religious education, and I have knowledge of religion and everything like that. But, I wasn't. Obviously, I had to have had religion, from other kids and stuff, so I wasn't religiously intense by any means. But at the age of like 7 or 8 with that Kansas song, I mean, I loved it. Dust in the Wind. I thought it was a There Is No God song, that we're all just particles, elements, and all the matter floating around. And, I really took it as life is meaningless and like completely misinterpret the song. And I was talking to a buddy of mine last year, and he's like, no, that's a Christian song. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, I guess so. I mean, now that I'm, 40-ish, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense, I suppose. And so, definitely a good song. I one of those songs that made a weird impact, obviously. And so my dad and we would drive out there, and he'd have his tapes, and we would listen to, like, I know he was real picky about his music. Real picky. Like, when we listen to the radio, he is like the flipper, the hunter, the Seinfeld joke where he's like, there's two types of people, the hunter, and he's talking about the women, and how the women don't hunt with the remote control. And my dad was the hunter, and so he would really flip on the stations on the radio. It got really annoying because I'd be sitting there thinking in my head, I'm like, I like that song. That song is good. Why aren't we listening to that song? But I wouldn't say anything. My dad's driving. He can do what he wants. He can flip all he wants. But we do more tapes, sometimes on the longer trips. And I heard Journey tapes. I'm trying to think of the music that my dad played, because he wasn't a musician. He was a book reader. Good gosh. He could just read and read and read. I know, like, when he would be on the boat for like a month at a time, he'd read like 30 or 40, 50 books in a month, like full-on novels and stuff. I know he liked Jack Reacher and stuff, which I watched the Jack Reacher movie. It's cool. I've never been a reader. I don't feel like I've ever had ADHD. I was diagnosed dyslexic, so it's like, it's a slow way to input information into my brain. So him and I didn't really have a ton of music commonality, because I've just always loved music. I'm a musician. I tried taking piano lessons for like a couple of weeks, and it's the same thing. I'm like, so you want me to practice, and I need how to learn to read music. Both the things that I don't want to do when I'm in 5th grade. And so I took piano for a little bit, like maybe 2 months, I don't know. Which obviously that gave me a core understanding of how to read music and whatnot. And so, I have core understandings of reading music from all the drums that I've played, and bass and all that type of stuff. But my dad never played an instrument, but he played Journey, Huey Lewis and the News. That's another good one. She's Just a Rich Girl. I kept thinking they were saying she's such a bitch girl in my head. What else would be music that stands out? That's really it. Journey, Huey Lewis and the News, that Kansas, Moody Blues. Yeah, the Moody Blues. That was another one of those, because they have, it's almost like a Disney soundtrack, and I didn't watch a ton of Disney movies as a kid and whatnot, but it's like a soundtrack, some of those Moody Blues albums. And so it was really, really kind of hypnotic. I just sit there, and my dad and I'd be quiet, and we'd listen to I just can't remember. I have circled around and listened to the Moody Blues several times to check them out. And, they're progressive. They're like Pink Floyd, King Crimson in the 1970s, experimental, and I've listened to the album again. I've found the album again, and I can't remember the name of the album, but it was like some sort of late 70s album, real experimental. And what is the famous Moody Blues song? What is the famous Moody Blues song? There's one song that really was the biggest one, probably their most commercial success, I suppose. And I mean, I could pull it up and play it right now, but then my video will get flagged, and I'm trying to keep this channel clean because my other channel, I have 15 years of videos of me doing motorcycle stuff, bicycle stuff, but I made the mistake when I started that channel, which was like, let's see, 11 years ago. I immediately got flagged for using copyrighted music, and so that's why I created a new channel. This one is, there's probably no chance that I will ever be able to get that channel up and running. But here's what we can do. I know that you can probably play, like, I think I know enough about copyright law that you can do 30 seconds. And so that's how there's this really cool cover music artist, Girl Talk. Play Your Part. Check that out if you're a musician or whatever. That is epic. And let me just pull up Moody Blues on my phone on Spotify. I use Spotify. I've used it ever since I transitioned away from CDs to digital music. Moody Blues. Nights in White Satin. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a good one. And that's the tape that I would listen to. I'm gonna listen to a few seconds of that, and then I should go. And this video is probably already like 60 or something minutes long. I need to eat and do other things. Let's hear Nights in White Satin. Just for under 30 seconds so I don't get flagged. I don't know if my microphone will even pick it up.